Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Alumni Corner. I'm Austin Burns, Director of Communications here at St. Martin's University, and two special guests are joining me here this afternoon representing the men's basketball program. First, we have John Moore, a junior here at St. Martin's, and in his first season with the Saints, he was named to the NABC Honors Court, a very high academic honor. So thank you, John, for joining us here this afternoon. And also joining us is Dr. James Hammond, a graduate of 1993 here at St. Martin's. He then went on to get his master's at Gonzaga and then his doctorate at Washington State. He is the superintendent of schools for the Ontario Montclair system down in California. And he was inducted into the St. Martin's Hall of Honor just in 2019 as being a member of the 1992-93 men's basketball team. So thank you, both of you, for joining us here on this episode of Alumni Corner.
My pleasure.
John, we'll go ahead and throw it to you and let you start with the first question.
Okay, so my first question for you is, what are some of your fondest memories while playing at St. Martin's?
Oh, gosh, there's so many to recall. But first, I got to say, John, being recognized as a distinguished scholar and an athlete is what it's about. You know, having an opportunity to play college ball. I think the best thing is walking out with a college degree, and you're showing you're on a path to that. So I'm very proud to do this interview with you, John.
Thank you.
So no, I think probably, gosh, one of the best memories, I will probably say my sophomore year and my junior year, we went on runs towards the end of the season where we won anywhere from 9 to 11 consecutive games. Won a conference championship my sophomore year, as well as my junior year. And just the experience that I had with my teammates, with my coaches. Bob Grisham was our head coach, and just the culture that he developed during those seasons, particularly those 2 seasons. I played 3 seasons, but those 2 seasons in particular really established a sense of accomplishment and confidence that I think has carried on in other aspects of my life. I don't think if I had those experiences my sophomore and junior year, don't think I would have had the confidence to take on risk down the road. So I would say from an athletic perspective, certainly that comes to mind. I think from a social perspective, you know, living in Burton Hall and going up the hill to Old Main and having classes, being in the cafeteria, what I remember most are the relationships with classmates and my professors. And I think that's what makes St. Martin's special. It's such a personalized experience in any aspect as a student and as an athlete.
Okay, number 2, how has the campus changed since you were a student athlete?
Gosh, big facelift. I'll tell you, we didn't have bucket seats and we didn't have a 4-sided scoreboard in the pavilion. That's for sure. But certainly from a cosmetic perspective, you see new buildings. The library wasn't there that you guys get to enjoy now. Some of the newer dorms, Spangler Hall wasn't built during my time there. So it's been wonderful to see the growth. I think when you look at the growth of St. Martin's, we had maybe close to 1,000 students in the mid-90s or early 90s when I was enrolled there. And now you got about maybe close to 1,500. So you think about it, that's about a 50% gain in student enrollment alone. But the facilities have certainly been upgraded. When I walk Old Main, you definitely see a lot of the advancement that has occurred, and rightfully so, on a higher ed institution. To give you perspective, you probably weren't born yet, but the computer lab at St. Martin's, I remember using a Commodore 64. I thought I had like modern technology at my fingertips doing my term papers because I was banging away on a Commodore 64. And I think there were some Apple IIe floppy machines also in the computer lab. And so it was a much different world. No social media, no internet to speak of, no email. A lot of old school term papers with a lot of ink and eraser and pencils to turn in, but certainly the rigor and the expectations were very high. And I don't think that has changed at St. Martin's. In fact, I'm very confident that hasn't changed, but a lot of upgrading to the facilities and a lot of upgrading to the infrastructure for sure. First class institution on all levels.
Okay. So if there was a course or professor, or was there a course or professor that had a significant impact on you?
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. I think of three professors, actually four, that come to mind. You know, number one, Abbott Conrad was my geology teacher, just a fascinating, intelligent man, scientist. And I just remember being blown away by when he would show us aerial shots of Mount Rainier. And I didn't realize Mount Rainier had erupted twice, and the type of rock debris that was created on such a wide footprint, you know, from those eruptions. But probably what I learned most from him is I remember turning in my first paper to Abbott Conrad, and he grabbed it from me and he looked at me and he said, "What am I about to read?" And I was like really stunned. I never had a teacher or professor ask me that question. And part of me said, well, does he think I wrote this paper or not? Because that's kind of a weird question to ask. But what he was really wanting to know was probably the story in between the lines of what I wrote. Why did he write? What am I, you know, give me some anticipation of what I'm about to read. So it forced me to articulate a lot of detail that I didn't put in writing, which I think he gave me credit for in regards to how he evaluated my paper in my coursework after the fact. Certainly Rex Casillas and Dr. Schneider, political science, just a fascinating professor as well. Really opened my eyes in regards to the dynamics of the legal system, the rule of law, the importance of certain case decisions at the Supreme Court level. We really dove deep into many classes about the dissenting and majority opinions of very prominent Supreme Court cases, which really helped develop my ideologies as an individual. I really didn't know who I was on the spectrum in regards to my own personal values, and even in some regards, my ethics. And it really helped define who I was as far as identifying what really was inside my moral compass and guiding me. And so his work as a professor, without imposing his own personal beliefs, really allowed me to grow and develop my own ideology of thinking. And then obviously, Father Killian as my English professor, hands down, just still very influential to this day. You want to talk about someone that really pushed you to find your muse, you know, your MUSE, that inspirational aura inside of you that pushes every dimension of your thinking. And again, high expectations, everything from attendance to behavior. He didn't put up with any nonsense from myself or my teammates when we were in class, but definitely the output. He demanded a lot academically from us. So those four professors stick out the most in regards to what my experiences were like at St. Martin's.
Do you have any advice for current athletes at St. Martin's?
You know, I'll tell you, I think the modern day student athlete, you know, at the college level, such as yourself, you have such a different world you're going into than what I exited into in 1993. I think the demand on you as a student athlete, you'll probably embark upon multiple careers. I know because we visited earlier, John, that you're an accounting major, and I don't know if you're going to pursue things like a CPA or down the road, but even going into kind of a specialized field like accounting, the opportunity to be in multiple career fields or pathways once you obtain your degree, I think is greater today than it was when I graduated. I think when I graduated, you know, it would be very common for a college graduate to maybe have 2 or 3 careers in their lifetime. Maybe it's going to be half a dozen. So I think the skill set that you need to graduate with, as well as your peers, the young men and women that are scholar athletes at St. Martin's, is don't forget about the skills that are going to be transferable across the whole spectrum in regards to how do you critically think? How do you read and interpret and comprehend, you know, materials that come across your desk or your plate, so to speak? How do you persuasively write? How do you persuasively speak? Those are going to be skill sets that go across any spectrum in any career. And ultimately, don't forget about the employability skills. You're going to learn all sorts of great academic and whatever your acumen will be in accounting for you, John. But don't forget about the importance of cultural competence. Don't forget the importance of teamwork. Don't forget the importance of being dependable and being trustworthy and showing integrity. Those are things that employers will look at, and those will be the skills that, aside from your own personal competencies, in your case, accounting, will allow you to have more doors open and guarantee you success down the road. So be what they call the whole player. You got, in your case, you got to rebound, you got to pass, you got to defend, you got to shoot the jumper, and you got to be able to go in the lane and finish in traffic. You got to do it all when you leave college. And so make sure you got that toolbox ready.
Yeah. All right. So how did St. Martin's help prepare you for future challenges in your life?
I think going back to your first question, I think I gained personal confidence as an individual through my athletic experience at St. Martin's. Bob Grisham put together one of the most competitive environments I'd ever been around. And you're talking to someone grew up in Southeast Los Angeles County, born and raised in Whittier. Ironically, a lot of my teammates in St. Martin's I played against, in the metropolitan Los Angeles area. And these guys were phenomenal. I mean, I'm talking about, people like John Staggers, Lafayette Dorsey, Troy Wido, Michael Courtney, Sean Keys. And then you combine that with Anthony Pendleton, who was a McDonald's All-American, and Jerry Bush from Federal Way. I mean, we just had just an amazing load of talent. And I think being able to not only survive and be competitive in that environment, but demonstrate success showed me that I could probably do that in other fields of my life, that I could make tough decisions, that when I had to be competitive and give everything I had, that I could do that in other facets of my life. And ultimately, how can I bring people together with different backgrounds and divergent priorities and different agendas and say, hey, here's a common denominator. Let's shoot for this. If we all do this and accept whatever role it takes to accomplish that goal, we are going to all benefit from it. And so you learn things like sacrifice. I'll tell you, you go talk to Bob Grisham. I wanted to shoot the ball 20 times a game. And he said, if you want to be on this floor, you better pass the ball 20 times a game and not worry about your jump shot. So I had to basically distribute the ball and defend and play my role, which was a much different role than I had when I was in high school. And because there were much other, better people on the floor that could score. So I learned all that through that, particularly that sophomore and junior season, that to be competitive, to be successful as a team, that I have to learn to accept certain roles, but whatever role that is, excel at it and give my very best at it, because it's all part of a systematic approach to multiple individuals working towards a common goal. So that's what I learned most as a student athlete, is how to be a good teammate and how to be a dependable teammate, and how to be someone that when it's time for me to step up, that I'm going to do my job and do it well.
Okay, so my question was, if you could go back in time to your time at St. Martin's, is there anything you would change about it, or you just want to keep it the same, or take a different class or something like that?
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you, I was so blessed. St. Martin's for me was 3.5 years. And so I was able to walk out with a double major. And I am so grateful that Bob Grisham took a chance on me when he didn't need to, and brought me into a great environment, not only athletically with great teammates and a lot of success on the basketball floor, but just a great culture where I met professors and I had classmates outside of basketball that were just good people and wanted to see me be successful. And in turn, I wanted to see them be successful. So that part I would never want to change. I would never want to change the academic path that I took, because I walked out with a double major. However, I still think I didn't take advantage of everything that was in front of me at St. Martin's. I wish I could have done more clubs or activities. I think of even dabbling with JROTC. And not that I would have necessarily made a commitment to go in the military after high school, but at least to learn more about it. Mm-hmm. And we had things like more academic clubs and the Hawaiian luau's. And there were so many activities at St. Martin's for such a small school that I don't think I took advantage of the whole menu. I was having so much fun and appreciating my experience with, doing, like I said, with Dr. Casillas in the United Nations of Arab States. That was really my only other kind of co-curricular, extracurricular activity I did outside of basketball. And I know there was way more opportunities that I could have took advantage of. And so that would be one thing, if I could go back in time, is dive into the menu more and experience more things at St. Martin's, because there was so much that was offered that I didn't take advantage of.
All right. Well, thank you to Dr. Hammond and to John Moore for joining us here on this episode of Alumni Corner. We will see everybody in the next episode. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, gentlemen. Good luck to you, John. Go Saints, and thank you, Austin.